Good afternoon, everybody. Mel Soul here, bringing you a video golf blog on Saturday, the 24th of February 2018. And on Saturdays we do short game Saturdays. So we're going to talk a little bit about chipping, and the theme really is developing feel. In order to be a good chipper, you can go and take a lesson and learn technique and, chip with your arms and keep the wrist from breaking down and all that kind of thing. You can have perfect technique, but if you don't have feel, you're not going to be a good chipper. And feel is something that nobody in the world can teach you. Feel is something you develop with practice. So this is something you can do both at home and at the range. And what I've done here is I've put a scorecard on the ground. I've put a tee in the ground because today's a pretty windy day, and so just to stabilize it, I've put a tee in the ground, and I'm going to chip down to that bottom flag down there. So for those of you that have been to the golf school, you know that the clubs that I use for chipping, the 6-iron flies in the air about 1/4 and rolls 3/4. The 8-iron flies in the air about 1/3 and rolls 2/3. Pitching wedge flies in the air about 1/2 and rolls 1/2. The golden rule in chipping is fly the ball in the air as little as possible and let it roll as much as possible. So what I'm trying to do when I get a chip shot like this, I want to land the ball just on the green and then it roll the rest of the way. I could chip this with a lob wedge or a sand wedge, but I'd have to make a much bigger swing to get the ball back there, and the bigger the swing, the more chance I've got of making an error. So there are 3 reasons why chipping with a less lofted club works. First of all, smaller swing, so less chance of error. 2, when you chip with a straight face club, there's less backspin, so the roll is much more predictable. When you chip with a sand wedge or a lob wedge, if you nip it just right, you get a little bit of spin, it checks and comes up short. So the next green, you hit a little harder and it ends up running by. And the last reason is most probably the most important for most amateur golfers, is the mishits are going to end up closer to the hole using a less lofted club than using a lob wedge or a sand wedge. So this is that scorecard is about 1/4 of the way between me and the hole. So that would normally be a 6-iron, but as you can see, I'm going downhill. So I want to take 1 club less. I'm going to chip with a 7-iron to counter that downhill, and the goal is to land the ball there. So what I have to do, the principle I use here is the same principle as a basketball player shooting hoops. The basketball player is going to look at the rim and shoot. If it's too hard, next one is a little softer. If it's too hard, it's too soft, next one's going to be a little harder. So he's going to shoot hard and soft, hard and soft. He's going to go from different distances so that when he's in a game, get the ball, look, shoot. Doesn't have to think. So I want to be able to stand, look at the spot, and let my subconscious know exactly how hard to hit it. And so I have to train my subconscious to do that. So what I do is I stand here. I'm assuming that you have good chipping technique. I'm not going into that today, but I'm going to look at that scorecard and I'm going to do my practice swing looking at that scorecard, and I'm going to let my subconscious decide how hard I'm going to hit it. Now, go to the ball, and I landed that ball pretty much at the scorecard, and you can see the distance is pretty good. So if I was looking at that scorecard and I hit a chip that was short, the next swing I'm going to make a bigger, I'm still going to look at the scorecard, but I'm going to make a bigger pendulum. That one was too hard, so I'm going to make a bigger pendulum than the first one and a smaller pendulum than the second one. So I keep going back and forth, doing my practice swing, looking at the ball. There, I landed that right at the scorecard, and that ball finished within about 1 foot of the hole. So you can practice this at home, you can do it in your living room, What I did when I lived up in Toronto was I put a coin down on the carpet, I put a pillow at the back to catch the balls, and then I'd stand, do a practice swing. I had a little mat that I would chip off, look at the coin, see if I could land the ball on the coin. I'd sometimes have the coin close, sometimes have the coin far, chip with a 9-iron, 8-iron, 7-iron, 6-iron, develop the feel. So when springtime came around and I went out and played, my feel was there right away. So for those of you stuck indoors, this is a great opportunity. If you can go outside, you know, just on your front lawn at home, stick a tee in the ground or stick a scorecard on the ground and do just on your lawn. Remember, you're working on feel, so it doesn't matter whether the ball rolls the right distance. You know that if you chip with a 6-iron, the ball's going to roll a ratio of 1 to 3. So when I'm on the golf course, I pace it off usually and figure out exactly where my landing spot is. You're going to be a good chipper if you stay keeping it simple.